So today is purely an accessory day. Nothing else to it. Basically worked up to 140 on the squat, really light. And then a whole bunch of barbell rows, dumbbell rows, lateral raises, just pump work. Circulation work, nothing really crazy. Feel good day. The AMRAP days are not really a feel good day. They feel amazing once you finish the AMRAP, but leading up to it all day, you kind of feel nervous and uncomfortable. And you worry and you go through all of these stages of self-talk in preparation. It's really weird, but I think I'm getting better at it. And this is something that Lewis in 1995 mentioned in his comment from yesterday. Lewis is somebody that I've spoken to a lot. Lewis is a very strong lifter himself. You can check him out as well. He's an athlete. He doesn't just lift weights, but I think he does judo, if I'm not mistaken. Judo. I'm not a master of martial arts by any means, but I've seen a few of his videos. I follow him on Instagram and on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's judo. So this is a person that is very well versed in the physical realm. He's very strong with the barbell, and clearly he can kick your ass as well if you get in his face. But Lewis says the mental fortitude involved in doing these sets every few days is actually mad. And then Curiosity 8494 says, not to mention that he's a shift worker, husband, and a father of 3 kids. He is truly inspirational. I want to thank you, both of you fellas, for such kind words. And it's really cool for me to see, number one, that Lewis appreciates what I do and recognizes the effort. And even Curiosity, he says that he's inspired by it. The really weird thing is that even though from outside in it might seem, and I know Lewis definitely knows that, you might seem that training hard, working really hard with this stuff that we do in the gym is kind of like a mountain that we have to climb every single day. But and which it is, but I see it from a different angle slightly. I see it as an opportunity to get stronger, and so the other things in your life get easier, if that makes any sense. So, like for instance, yesterday I had to do a bit of a presentation of work. It's not anything crazy. There were like 17 people in the room, and I had to give a bit of a talk about trauma. I'm kind of involved in the trauma portfolio at work, and I do some auditing, and then I was basically presenting what I kind of found out. So it was like an hour chat. Nothing really crazy, but public speaking is something that a lot of people don't feel very comfortable with. And even though I have a YouTube channel with freaking lots of followers, you would assume that I'm like really comfortable speaking in front of people. This is what I'm doing right now. There's nobody in the room. It's just a phone recording me. That doesn't mean I'm really comfortable with public speaking. If you got me in front of 100 people, I'm pretty sure I'll be very nervous. So yesterday I kind of did that, and like I wasn't nervous, but I didn't feel 100% comfortable either. But knowing that I have these AMRAP sets in my life, it kind of belittles that, if that makes any sense. So like if this AMRAP, if this speaking was the only stressor in my life, maybe that experience of public speaking would really produce a lot of anxiety in me. But because in my eyes, I'm like, the anxiety that I feel when I walk up to the bar for an AMRAP set is 25 million times worse than I feel walking in front of people, belittles the public speaking stuff, right? It just simply belittles it. I don't feel as nervous as some other people might because I have this other experience in my life which produces a lot of anxiety. So it's almost like a scaling thing, right? So like that, I feel like training has this potential to not only strengthen your physical form, which clearly it does, it also strengthens the mind. And as Lewis was saying, the mental fortitude involved in attacking something like this every other day or twice a week, there's a process that you have to go through mentally before you go through it physically. And when you're going through it physically, there's also stuff that has to go in through your mind to deal with the pain and the stress and all that stuff. So it's like, you're very well aware that your body is freaking on fire and you're really hurting, and your mentality is now going, okay, we can take a bit more, we can take a bit more, we can take a bit more. And for every passing second that goes by, that experience gets worse and worse and worse. So it becomes a battle. And that battle makes you stronger, not just physically. mentally as well. And I think that also makes you emotionally strong. It makes everything strong. So for a very, very long time, my training has been very, very consistent, very frequent. As you guys know, I've squatted for many freaking years in a row now. And that in itself, like the consistency that I've kind of was able to teach myself was one thing. But now that I'm training, okay, so there's consistency and there's also the war that I go through twice a week. And this RPE, which, you know, we've spoken at length about what it means, what it doesn't mean, giving you absolute everything in something that strengthens you. I don't know how many of you guys that are listening right now might think to yourselves like, well, I don't really go through anything in my life that is that hard. And we can discuss until the cows come home whether this is the best method to go about improving the squat. But we could probably all agree that it's probably a very, very good tool to get you stronger mentally for everything else. So if you go through this stuff twice a week, you're probably going to be more resistant to some of the shit that you go through in your life, right? If somebody pisses you off, if somebody, your threshold for that crap is like, dude, you're not going to get me anxious like this. You're not threatening me. 180 for a set of freaking 20 threatens the shit out of me. I might die in that process. Here, public speaking, doing this, doing that, it doesn't bother me. And so it's character building. And in a sense, I feel like, you know, as Lewis was saying, you know, and the other fellow, Curiosity, you know, they were saying like, you know, I've got kids and all of that stuff. I actually feel like it is easier for me to have this in my life than not. You know, like you mentioned, I'm a shift worker, husband, father of 3. There's lots of other things happening in my life. And when I throw this in, I feel like all of these other things are easier for me because I'm stronger. I can do 180 for 13. That's a lot of stress. So I'm able to deal with stress up here. All this other stuff seems like really, really down here. This is something which I think is not really spoken about much when it comes to training, the mental aspects. Like, I'm not mentally unwell. I don't have a diagnosis of anything. I don't have, you know, depression, anxiety, all of these things. I don't have any of those things, right? So I can't speak to that 100%, but I feel as though if somebody out there is dealing with mental health issues, which I see a lot through my work, I feel like, man, if you just made yourself uncomfortable a few times a week, I reckon you would be able to treat yourself and patch up some of these weaknesses that you might have in your psyche when you're thinking about life, death, whatever the case might be. In fact, there was a study, man, I wish I could pull it up right now. I won't have time now because I have to go to work, but there was a study out of Russia which showed that they were able to get clinically depressed individual off of medications, purely like taking all of the, like we're talking about clinical, like proper severe depression patients, completely off medications, purely by using cold therapy, cutting a damn circle in the ice and walking into the river. They were able to get people off their meds. Because what they found was that when you have cold therapy, when you have that much stress hit your body, parts of your brain, the amygdala, I think was the key component to all of this, gets lit up like a motherfucker. The amygdala is almost like I'm gonna get this wrong, I read this a while back, but I think the amygdala is like an emotional center. So what they found with serial killers, they found that their amygdalas are like not existent, they're like completely atrophied. So when the guys over there committing like severe, like dreadful crimes, he doesn't have any remorse because that amygdala, they've done CT studies with this, their amygdala is not existent, so they don't feel anything while they're taking a life. Whereas a normal individual, that thing kind of is perfused and operating well. So when you enter the ice, the amygdala gets lit up, and you start to kind of almost introduce circulation into the part of your brain which maybe is not perfusing really, really well because of the condition that you have, the stresses in your life, the experiences, the PTSD, all the things that people end up with simply by living in poor situations. Lots of different things happen in life. But it just goes to show you how stress is not a negative thing if it is modulated, if it is progressed, if it is the right frequency. Obviously, if you leave somebody in icy water for an hour, they're dead. In the middle of Siberia, freaking 0-degree water, whatever it is, you're dead, right? It can't be 0 degrees, it's probably like a couple of degrees. You're dead. But if you just a little bit, get out, get warm, chicken broth, you're physiologically well, you haven't been harmed by this cold therapy, but your psyche is now so much stronger because think about it. You've taken your clothing off, it's freaking minus 10 degrees outside, you're butt naked now. Now you have to go into this. What goes into your mind? I'm like, oh my shit, I'm gonna cop it. Oh my God, I'm freezing, man. Oh my God, I'm gonna cop it. Oh my shit, I'm gonna cop it. Oh, I have to do this. Oh my God, it's so uncomfortable. It's a fight or flight response, right? And your brain gets lit up. Whereas for a lot of people, it doesn't get lit up. The MRAP sets for me is essentially cold therapy. It is a huge stressor in my life right now. Yesterday, palms are sweaty, I'm anxious, I'm like, oh fuck, the 15 minutes before I'm like, shit, it's coming. And I keep saying to myself, very well, you're not getting away from this. You're going to be doing this and it's going to be over in 90 seconds. And I'm like self-talking myself, trying to manage these thoughts and these emotions, trying to make it better. And I think that whole process of self-talking is very beneficial. It's very, very beneficial. And so if I go somewhere and something happens in life, man, I've just been through 180 for 13. This is a freaking joke, man. 10 out of 10 is 180 for 13 in terms of the anxiety level and the discomfort. Right now, what you're doing to me and trying to piss me off, it's like a 2 out of 10. All of a sudden, you become less reactive to certain things because you have a different scale. It's almost like, I used to say to my wife, before she gave birth, we were talking about C-sections and this, that, the other, blah, 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 blah. And, she agreed, obviously we're on the same, but we were discussing okay, if you go through this naturally and you give birth to our son naturally, nothing in your life is going to match the amount of discomfort you've been through to deliver this child. Nothing's going to touch. Childbirth is like 10 out of 10. Right? So when you go through some stress in your life, you're going to be like, I gave birth to my son. This doesn't compare. So it's almost like the big stresses, the big pain and agony that you go through strengthens you, which is really weird. You can't say that for everything, right? If you decide to chop your arm off, it's very, very painful, but that's also irreversible, right? So things that are not going to kill you make you stronger, right? Like the old freaking saying that everyone says. But if you don't do anything which is potentially going to kill you, then you just get weaker and weaker and weaker. And so I invite people to try and do something in their life to really stress them out. This is why a lot of people say, try and learn something new. Put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Try and do some public speaking. Whatever, it doesn't have to be weights, but something that really terrifies the shit out of you, because that's only going to make you stronger. And obviously, don't be stupid. Don't just walk out into the freaking front of a stadium trying to speak. Work into it, progressively overload it like anything, like training, right? Speak in front of one person, then 2 person, 4 person, 5, 20, and then 50, and then, it's like anything, right? This progression that we talk about in the gym can be applied to many other areas of life. So to Lewis and Curiosity, I appreciate you fellas. It is very uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's making it easier for me to live. Simple as that. All right, guys, like always, I appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.